As an investment banker, I'm going to react to the big, beautiful bill that was just announced by Donald Trump. And Kris is an amazing guy, and I'm going to just look through his video. We're going to react.
Okay, this one AI side builder you need.
Get the biggest legislation in his entire term. This bill is complicated. It includes a lot. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to reduce it down to the 5 most important parts of the bill that you need to know. Let's go. I'm Kris Krohn, and I have helped thousands of people subscribe.
Yeah, Kris is amazing, but let's just skip to the main thing. So let's see. This bill seeks to make permanent and major tax cuts.
2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which means that a bunch of temporary tax breaks are now becoming permanent. First, the standard deduction stays extended. This is the amount of money.
One thing that Trump used to always say was how they're going to quote unquote make money from the whole situation with tariffs. But ironically, this bill justifies military spending, and Elon Musk is right to say, in my opinion, that hey, this bill is an abomination. That being said, Elon Musk, as the richest capitalist in the world, clearly benefits from the EV mandate. So Elon Musk acting as if he cares a lot about the deficit is one thing, and I guess he does to some extent, because he led DOGE, which was the agency spearheaded by him to reduce waste and fraud and wasted money. But he also benefited from it by deregulating the government agencies that affected him. So the whole thing with Musk being angry about the big beautiful bill, he made it seem as if he's angry because they're going to increase the national deficit, meaning that the U.S. would go more into debt. But really, I think he's angry because he's using the EV mandates, and he won't have as much power and as he really wants it to, although he's still going to benefit from his work in the DOGE.
That you can earn each year that's completely tax-free. Before 2017, a married couple could only deduct $13,000. But after the expansion, it jumped to $27,000. And now it's here to stay for good. That means that if you're just starting out and you're earning under that amount of money, that you don't owe any federal income tax on that at all. And for everyone else, it's going to lower the amount of taxes that you pay.
I think that's a good thing. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Across the board, tax rate reductions are staying locked in. So the percentage that you pay at each income level is lower than it used to be. This benefits both individuals and small business owners, especially people earning 6 figures.
I think this is fine.
Or growing side income through the game of real estate like I teach all day long. It means more of your money stays with you. This one is for
that tax deduction is fine.
Workers, side hustlers, and the gig economy pros. Under this bill, the government says that if you make less than $150,000 a year, you're not going to pay federal taxes on your
I think that's fine also. I do think that Kris is probably cherry picking the best parts of the bill. He's not talking about the immigration things, but let's just keep it positive. Let's talk about business.
All right, the third major part of this bill is bigger small business deductions plus 1-year write-offs. Let's talk about one of the biggest tax breaks in the entire bill, the one that most people don't even know that they qualify for. It's called the Qualified Business Income Deduction, or QBI for short.
So you can deduct more, basically you can claim more deductions in your business. That's really good.
But small business owners deduct a portion of their profits before they even pay taxes on it. And this bill bumps that deduction from 20% to 23%. Let's break down why that's important. Let's say you're a real estate investor on the side, or you're a hustler and you make $100,000 in profit. Well, with this new 23% QBI deduction, the IRS only taxes you on $77,000. That's $23,000 that's completely tax-free, and that's just year 1. So if you hang with me and we're making a lot more than that, then obviously the savings are going to grow from there. Now you might be asking, what counts as a qualified business income? Well, if you own a small business, or you have an LLC, or
It's pretty good.
Is big because my kids paper trade, my son Daniel is dude, since I started, in the last 90 days, is big because my kid's paper trade. My son Daniel just came to me, he's like, Dad, dude, since I started, in the last 90 days, my investments are up 11% on my picks. When can I start using my real money? Well, check this out. This is big, first of all, for long-term investors. And I typically tend to be a long-term investor because I'm going to buy a single-family home, and then I'm going to hold it for generally 5, 6, or 7 years. And then when I sell it, it's because my original down payment and all of my profit give me the ability to now buy 2 homes. So one turned into 2, that's going to double my ROI. And maybe 5 years later.
Okay, buddy, I'm just trying to find the thing about opportunity zones. Let me see here.
Opportunity zones, for example, these are...
Yeah, so before you get to talking about it, basically America wants you to choose and invest in dilapidated places so that the country does better. So there are these designated areas called opportunity zones that they want you to invest in. Basically, you defer capital gains tax. So basically you invest, you wait 5 years, and you don't pay any tax if you don't pull it out.
Areas where the government wants to see those neighborhoods. And I mean, if you hold the property for a few years, or you can...
Okay, they're saying you eliminate tax after 10 years.
Planners to improve those areas.
So he's just expanding that, and that's one thing I like about the Trump policies. There are a lot of good things about it. There's some bad things. There's some good things. Here's the issue. Here's the issue that I was alluding to at the beginning.
But let's finish with a dose of realism. You see, to fund all these tax cuts, the money has to come from somewhere. And right now they're looking at cutting federal programs like Medicaid and SNAP to be able to fund it, also known as food stamps. I think this kind of sucks a little bit because there are some people out there that rely on those food stamps. And then my parents in their old age, when I'm not paying for all of their stuff, they rely on Medicaid. So this is where it's about to get real, and so is the criticism. What this part of the bill does is it adds more frequent eligibility checks, new work requirements, and starts shifting some of the financial burden back onto the states. And what that's going to do is it's going to create tension and potentially impact lower income tenants, especially in Class C and Class D properties where government programs...
So if you're invested in Class C and D properties, expect more chaos. Expect more chaos for sure, because the division of wealth will get bigger and the chasm will get bigger.
To often help subsidize that rent. In other words, this administration is saying, we want to shrink the government. We want to push these responsibilities back onto the state. We feel that the states are better equipped to know what their people need, and we'll let them run it at that level. So yeah, people are definitely calling Trump out for this because back in 2016, back again in 2020, Trump promised, for example, not to cut Medicaid. He said it would be left alone, but critics are saying that this new bill goes against that promise, especially with the addition of work requirements and reduced federal support for certain state Medicaid programs. Some conservative voters feel blindsided by this, right? They're arguing that these reforms were meant to reduce fraud or make the system more sustainable. Either way, it's become one of the most controversial parts of the bill. And on top of that, the bill raises the national debt ceiling.
So that's the most important part of this entire thing. And this was what Musk was clinging to, to justify his fights. I guess now he's on his second fight at the time of the recording of this video.
By $5 trillion. That means that the government can borrow more money. And while some hope that economic growth will balance it all out, others worry that this could increase inflation. Let me say this again. Inflation could raise property values, it could raise rents, but higher debt and program cuts could also lead to increased tenant turnover or tighter housing subsidies or more volatility in certain markets. So this is where strategy matters. It's where you got to focus on assets that produce consistent cash flow, and you got to stick to stable markets. And ultimately, you need to monitor policy changes so that you never get caught off.
Yeah, so pretty much like stable properties where they're saying stay away from the Class C, the Class D, the Class E, F, G, H, I, J, K. Just go to the best classes, stable assets. And, I don't think the economic growth is going to balance it out. I think it's most definitely going to cause a lot of inflation. And so that's it for my reaction. Kris Krohn, I have AI and things summarize it, but in a nutshell, this is the quickest, most simplest way to summarize this for business buyers. And that wraps it up. If you want to learn more, head to raises.com and we'll show you how to buy a business using other people's money and how to take advantage of this whole big, beautiful bill situation. So just head to raises.com to learn more.